Okay, let's unpack this. We're doing a deep dive today into Inventec Corporation.
Right.
We've got a stack of material here on them. They're, a major player in electronics design, manufacturing, and our goal really is to pull out the key insights, where they came from, what they're doing now, and what's next for them.
Yeah, you might know them from like laptops or maybe servers, but the real story these sources are telling is one of pretty significant transformation.
Absolutely. So looking back, where did it start?
Well, they kicked off in 1975. Pretty humble beginnings, actually. Calculator.
Calculators? Okay.
Yeah, then they built up strength over the years, moving into notebooks and then servers. They always had this self-identity, the reports mention, as an engineer company, focused on innovation, quality.
Yeah, the engineering focus.
Exactly. But the really big shift, the one that jumps out, is this move away from just traditional manufacturing. They're becoming a high-tech ODM, original design manufacturer.
Right, focusing on
the cutting-edge stuff. Cloud infrastructure, edge computing, 5G, and crucially, AI. That's the big pivot.
And you can really see that shift playing out in their current business mix.
Definitely.
The numbers we saw for 2024 put revenue at roughly 50% computer products, that's mostly laptops, and 46% server products.
So almost an even split now. That itself is, well, it's a key insight.
It really is. And the server side.
Mm-hmm.
That's where things get really interesting, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. It's clearly their main growth engine now, especially the AI servers. The material we looked at confirms they're ready for NVIDIA's newest, most powerful platforms.
Like the GB300.
Exactly. The GB300, the NVL72, these are serious bits of kit. And here's the kicker. They haven't just built the tech, they've landed orders from the absolute top tier.
You mean the big cloud providers?
The big four global cloud service providers, yeah. Microsoft, Google, Amazon, AWS, Meta. Getting those names on board, well, that's a huge stamp of approval for their AI server capabilities.
Wow. And handling those chips, I mean, that GB300 is what, 1.4 kilowatts? That's a ton of heat.
It is. And it requires some serious cooling. The sources really highlight Inventec's focus here, advanced thermal management.
Like liquid cooling.
Liquid cooling, yes. And even using AI itself to manage the thermals efficiently. It's essential for keeping those high-power servers running reliably.
Makes sense.
And looking forward, there's another big growth area they're targeting, automotive electronics.
Ah, yes, automotive. What are the sources saying there?
The prediction is pretty dramatic, actually. A potential threefold revenue increase just in 2025 for that segment.
Threefold. Wow, okay. That's a massive jump they're projecting.
It really is.
So shifting gears a bit to the financials, overall picture looked pretty strong for 2024.
Yeah, revenue growth was solid, up about 25.5%, and the trend continued into Q1 of 2025.
Okay.
I mean, there was the usual sequential dip from Q4, which is typical seasonality, but year over year, revenue was still up a healthy 20%.
And profitability.
Yeah.
I saw something about margins hitting highs.
That's right. This is important. Both their gross margin and their operating profit margin hit single-quarter historical highs in Q1. They're calling it a double rise.
Double rise. In Q1, what's driving that improvement?
Well, the reports point to a couple of things. One is better production yield on their servers.
Okay, efficiency gains.
And the other, significantly, is the higher prices they can command for these complex, high-value AI servers. So that pivot to higher-value products, it's hitting the bottom line.
You can see it directly in the margins. Makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And beyond products and profits, there's this huge strategic shift happening with where they actually make things, their global footprint.
Yeah, this is major. The data suggests over 90% of their products are now not exported from mainland China anymore.
90%? That's a decisive move.
It is. They're actively diversifying. We're seeing production ramp up in Taiwan, Thailand, Vietnam, Malaysia, and importantly, Mexico.
Mexico, interesting. Closer to the U.S. market.
Exactly. Especially for servers, getting production closer to that crucial North American market. And there are even plans for a new plant in the U.S., in Texas.
So it's not just moving factories around, it's strategic. Risk mitigation, customer proximity.
Precisely. De-risking and getting closer to their major clients.
Okay, so bringing this all together, the new chairman has set a pretty ambitious target, right? Something about trillion NTD revenue.
$1 trillion new Taiwan dollars. Yeah, that's a big number. And the roadmap to get there, based on everything we're seeing, seems laser-focused on two main areas. AI, that's both AI PCs and especially those AI servers we talked about, and automotive electronics. Those are the absolute top priorities.
Right.
They do have this broader, longer-term tech framework ABCD 5+2, I think they call it.
AI, blockchain, cloud.
Big data, 5G plus auto and healthcare. Yeah, but the immediate drivers, the real focus right now, it's AI and auto.
Got it. And we should probably also mention their ESG commitment, net zero by 2050.
Yeah, that's in there too. And integrating energy-saving tech, like that AI thermal management, kind of ties into that as well, shows a longer-term view.
Okay. So, wrapping this up, what does this all really mean for you listening in?
Well, this deep dive paints a pretty clear picture, I think.
Yeah, Inventec is actively transforming. They're moving significantly from their roots as, let's say, a traditional PC and server builder.
Into becoming a major force within these really high-growth AI and automotive technology supply chains.
And it's backed by improving financials, those rising margins, and this really decisive shift in their global manufacturing strategy. It's a very focused pivot.
Definitely a pivot towards higher value, more cutting-edge parts of the market.
So here's a final thought, something provocative for you to consider. As tech companies like Inventec increasingly shift their focus, their resources, their manufacturing, away from maybe personal devices, towards the complex infrastructure that powers AI and the electronics inside smart vehicles, how might that fundamentally change the entire electronics industry? What kind of skills, what kind of companies will thrive in that future?